We've all checked the labels of clothing to see what they are made of in order to determine whether they will be suitable for a particular purpose or easily washed. But have you ever thought about these materials at a molecular level? The materials that make up our clothing are mostly polymers, which are substances which have molecular structures built up largely or completely from smaller units called monomers bonded together. Natural fibres, such as cotton, wool and silk, have been used by humans throughout history. In 1885, artificial silk was patented and launched the modern fibre industry. The synthetic fibres include materials such as nylon, polyester and acrylic. One piece of clothing that we all own is jeans, which are made up of cotton, which is mostly the carbohydrate cellulose. Made up of repeat units of the sugar monomer glucose, cellulose is an excellent fibre. Some evidence suggests it is likely that the Egyptians had cotton as early as 12,000 BC. But cotton fibres have drawbacks such as high flammability, and therefore functionalised cotton fibres are being developed for a variety of applications in high-performance fabrics and smart textiles. For example, carbon nanotubes armours have been fabricated onto the surface of cotton fibres, and the cotton textiles exhibit enhanced properties such as super water repellent. Cellulose can also be used to make synthetic fibres, the first of which was rayon. It was useful as it was seen as a cheap replacement for silk. Today when we talk about rayon, we are normally talking about cellulose xanthiate. It is used as a fibre to make rayon clothes you may be familiar with, like Hawaiian shirts. Alcohols and esters come together, they perform transesterification. Dimethyl terephthalate is an ester, and ethylene glycol is an alcohol. And when the two react together, they make another polymer, polyester. The methoxy groups on dimethyl terephthalate and hydroxyethyloxy group on ethylene glycol trade places. This can transesterify with itself and continue to react until the molecule becomes bigger and bigger and polyester is formed. Nylon is a synthetic fabric made from petroleum products. It was developed in the 30s as an alternative to silk, with its first real success coming from its use in women's stockings. Due to high demand for the material in the Second World War, it became unavailable to civilian customers. It possesses many desirable properties such as strength, durability and resistance to damage. However, it has a very slow decay rate which results in waste. In a nylon plant, nylon 6,6 is usually made by reacting adiapic acid with hexamethylene diamine using a step growth polymerization mechanism. It is named nylon 6,6 because each repeat unit of the polymer chain has two stretches of molecule 6 carbon atoms long. One adiapic acid molecule will donate a proton to the carbonyl oxygen of another. The protonated oxygen bears a positive charge, thus making it more vulnerable to attack by the nitrogen of the diamine as the oxygen pulls the carbon electrons towards itself. In the next step, the electrons rearrange to regenerate the acid catalyst, split off H2O, and generate the amide-containing dimer. The dimer can react further to make tetramers, trimers, and then will eventually react even further until they become big enough to become polymers. Whilst nylon is waterproof, it does not let water vapour pass through it, which means that nylon clothing traps sweat. Gore-Tex has the desirable properties of nylon, but it is also breathable. Teflon is the trade name for a polymer called polytetrafluoroethylene, or PTFE. This is formed from the monomer tetrafluoroethylene by free radical chain polymerization. This differs from the step growth polymerization of nylon as there is only growth of the polymer from one end of the chain and different mechanisms operate at different stages of the process. The origin of Gore-Tex outerwear starts with expanded polytetrafluoroethylene, which was created by Bob Gore in 1969 when he rapidly stretched PTFE under certain conditions. The Gore-Tex membrane makes garments waterproof, windproof and breathable so that you stay dry and comfortable. The membrane contains over 9 billion microscopic pores, which are approximately 20,000 times smaller than a drop of water, but 700 times bigger than a molecule of moisture vapour. So while water in its liquid form cannot penetrate the Gore-Tex membrane, it can easily escape as vapour. Another family of nylons are aramids, including Nomex, used to make fireproof clothing, and Kevlar, which is used to make things such as bulletproof vests. Kevlar is a polyamide in which the amide groups are separated by paraphenylene groups, meaning that the amide groups attach to the phenyl rings opposite each other. at carbons 1 and 4. Nomex, on the other hand, has metaphenylene groups. The amide groups are attached at 1 and 3. In Kevlar, the amide groups are polar and can hydrogen bond with one another, which is why Kevlar is so strong. Used plastic bottles can be made into fabric. The bottles are cleaned and melted down, then the plastic is stretched into a fine polyester thread. This fabric is being used by many in a green fashion movement dubbed eco-chic. This has caught on because manufacturers decided to adopt greener manufacturing techniques and consumers demanded sustainability in their clothing. Mainstream brands such as H&M now offer clothing made with recycled plastics. Instead of becoming trash in landfills, these plastics are now a valuable resource for manufacturing useful new products, which means that style and sustainability can go hand in hand. However, the toxic fumes and corrosive materials generated and used in the recycling process prove to be dangerous. Areas for improvement in this industry include filtering the potentially poisonous fumes created by melting plastic at high temperatures to avoid contamination of the air. The London 2012 Games had high sustainability targets, which included decreasing waste. One aspect of achieving this aim was through the use of recycled clothing. For example, the trunks worn by Tom Daley were 80% recycled nylon, and the uniforms for the volunteers were made from 100% recycled materials. The 3D clothes printer, developed by Joshua Harris, is an exciting new development. This would allow people to print their clothing directly and save the energy of the transportation of clothing, and allow for the customisation of old unwanted clothes, reducing waste. However, this is unlikely to be commercially available until at least 2050. 3D printing uses powdered nylon to transform into three-dimensional garments, such as the first fully 3D printed dress, which has just been unveiled. This follows on from the N12 bikini, which was the first completely 3D printed, ready-to-wear item of clothing, as before the printing of clothes remained purely experimental or for use in high-end fashion. N12 is named after nylon 12, the material in which the bikini is made, and is ideal for swimsuit material as it is waterproof.